I got fired by the new male boss who had no idea I hold a system patent. I won't spend another dime on an incompetent employee, he said. I just smiled and said, good luck. He had no idea. Key bosses par mai. I stared blankly at the conference room door as it slammed shut behind me. 100 eyes burned into my back, but I didn't flinch. My name's Ethan Collins, 32 years old, senior software engineer at Syntrex Solutions, New York. Or I was until 5 minutes ago. You're dismissed, Ethan, Mr. Brandon Hales had said, smirking in his expensive Italian suit. I won't spend another dime on an incompetent employee. Incompetent? After 8 years of building their core systems from scratch? I just smiled and said calmly, good luck. He had no idea what was coming. My heart was pounding, but not with fear. There was something else stirring inside me. Something dangerous, something patient. I stepped into the elevator, ignoring the pitying glances from a few old colleagues. They wouldn't dare speak to me now. Brandon made sure of that. The new boss loved showing power, and just like that, a man who didn't even know the architecture of our mainframe had erased the one person holding the real key to it. A key he didn't even know existed. Because what Brandon didn't realize was that 2 years ago, when I revolutionized our internal network system, I had quietly patented the underlying framework in my own name, legally, secretly, without Syntrex owning a single right over it. Their entire empire was running on my design. And now I was free to watch it burn. Or, better yet, take it back. If you're loving where this is heading, make sure you hit that like, share, and subscribe button right now. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next. I reached my apartment, dropped my briefcase, and stood staring out of the window. The New York skyline blinked back at me under the heavy clouds. Tonight wasn't about sadness. Tonight was about plans. Because what Brandon didn't know was that without me, Syntrex's entire system was a ticking time bomb. I had installed a silent expiration key, a failsafe that only I knew how to disarm. He thought he fired an employee. What he actually fired was the foundation of his billion-dollar company. My phone buzzed. It was a message from someone unexpected. Ethan, we need to talk. It's about Syntrex, urgent. A slow smile curved on my lips. Things were already starting to unravel faster than I imagined. If you want to see how Ethan flips the game upside down, don't forget to subscribe right now. I stared at the message blinking on my phone. It was from Madison Lewis, the company's senior legal advisor, a woman who was known for keeping her head down and her loyalty up. Why would she message me now, barely an hour after I got fired? I tapped a reply. When and where? Almost instantly, she responded, rooftop bar across the street. 30 minutes. I knew better than to trust anyone from Syntrex, but something about her message felt urgent, almost desperate. 30 minutes later, I pushed open the rooftop bar's heavy glass door. The wind whipped across the open terrace, carrying the low hum of city life. Madison was already there, nursing a drink she hadn't touched. She looked up and locked eyes with me. There was no formal greeting, no fake smiles. Ethan, she said quietly, you're in danger. You need to listen. I sat down, my heart beating a little faster now. What do you mean? She leaned in, her voice barely a whisper. Brandon isn't who you think he is. He's not just here to restructure Syntrex. He's here to steal it. The patents, the tech, everything. He's planning to sell the company to overseas investors. Quietly. I blinked, trying to process her words. And you're telling me this? Why? Madison hesitated. She twisted the ring on her finger nervously. Because I found the old patent files linked to your name. If Brandon discovers them before you act, you could be sued. Worse, you could lose everything. For a moment, we just sat there in the growing darkness. She wasn't helping me out of kindness. She was scared. For herself. I smiled faintly. He fired the wrong person, I said. Madison looked around, leaned even closer, and whispered, there's more. Brandon already suspects something. That's why he rushed your firing. He's digging. Fast. The pieces clicked together inside my head. Brandon's arrogance wasn't just personal. It was tactical. He thought firing me would cut off loose ends. He had no idea he just opened Pandora's box. If you're finding this story crazy already, just wait. It gets even crazier. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe before we go deeper. I stood up, feeling a new surge of energy course through me. Thanks, Madison, I said coolly. You just saved yourself and gave me exactly what I needed. She looked at me confused. What are you planning? I smiled wider. I'm going to burn him down, and I'm going to enjoy every second of it. As I turned to leave, Madison grabbed my wrist. Her nails dug lightly into my skin. One more thing, she said, eyes wide. Watch out for Derek. Derek? She nodded, fear flashing across her face. Brandon's right-hand man. He's not just security. He's something else. A cold feeling settled into my gut. More players, more secrets. This wasn't going to be just a revenge. This was going to be war. And the first shot had already been fired. If you haven't already, subscribe right now because the real game is just about to begin. I stepped into my apartment, locked the door behind me, and dropped my phone on the couch. My mind was racing faster than my heartbeat. Madison's warning wasn't just useful, it was urgent. Brandon was moving fast, which meant I had to move faster. I booted up my old laptop, the one that never touched the company network. I entered a password so complicated even I had to stare at the keyboard for a few seconds. There it was, the original system blueprint, the silent kill switch code embedded deep inside their operating framework, the secret that could shut down Syntrex Solutions in one silent heartbeat. I leaned back, staring at the glowing lines of code. One click, and everything they built on my back would collapse. But it wasn't just about crashing the company. It had to be poetic. It had to be personal. I wasn't just going to end Syntrex. I was going to make Brandon watch as he lost everything, piece by piece. If you're enjoying this twisty ride, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Because trust me, what's coming next will blow your mind. I started drafting a message, not from my name, from an anonymous, untraceable email account. To the investors of Syntrex Solutions, confidential information regarding fraudulent activity and unauthorized corporate moves by your acting CEO, Brandon Hales, will be exposed in 72 hours unless immediate action is taken. It was a warning shot. It was bait. And I knew exactly how greedy corporate sharks behaved. They ate their own when they smelled blood. Just as I hit send, a loud knock rattled my apartment door. I froze. Another knock, harder this time. 3 sharp bangs. I moved silently to the peephole. My blood turned cold. Derek, Brandon's so-called security chief, the one Madison warned me about, standing outside my door dressed in black, hands in his pockets like he had all the time in the world. What the hell did he want? I didn't move. I didn't breathe. He knocked again, softer this time, almost playfully. I know you're in there, Ethan. His voice drawled through the door. Open up. We just want to talk. Right. And I was born yesterday. I backed away slowly, already calculating escape routes. Window? Fire escape? Then my phone buzzed on the couch again. Another message from Madison. Derek knows. Get out. Now. I didn't think. I moved. If you're loving how intense this is getting, smash that subscribe button now, because Ethan's about to flip the whole board upside down. I grabbed my laptop, shoved it into my backpack, and sprinted to the window. 3 floors up, metal fire escape. I climbed out just as I heard Derek's voice again. Last chance, Collins. Open the door, or we're coming in. My heart hammered as I scrambled down the fire escape, my fingers slipping on the cold metal. I hit the ground and didn't look back. Syntrex thought they could erase me, but what they didn't know was that they had just made me unstoppable. And this time, I wasn't just fighting for my job. I was fighting to bury them. Here we go. I ran for 2 blocks without stopping, lungs burning, backpack thumping against my back. The city blurred around me, neon lights, honking cars, late-night crowds, but all I could think about was survival. Derek knows. They're not playing anymore. I ducked into an alley behind an abandoned diner and finally allowed myself to breathe. I needed a plan. Fast. Madison's message replayed in my mind. She warned me. But what if she wasn't the only one playing double sides? I opened my backpack, pulling out my laptop. The system kill switch was still there, intact. I just needed access to Syntrex's main server one last time, one final upload, and Brandon's empire would crash down like a house of cards. But walking into Syntrex's HQ now, that was suicide. Unless, I smiled to myself, I wasn't going to walk in. I was going to be invited. If you're getting hooked into this revenge storm, subscribe right now, because trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. I pulled out my phone and dialed a number I never thought I'd call again. Rachel Winters, my ex. Also Syntrex's new PR head, and Brandon's personal favorite for special projects. She owed me, big time, and she hated Brandon more than she ever hated me. She picked up on the second ring. "Ethan," she said, confusion and fear layered into her voice. "I need access to the main server," I said, skipping all pleasantries. "Tonight?" A sharp intake of breath. "You're insane," she whispered. "They're watching everything." "I know," I said calmly. "But you're not doing it for me. You're doing it for yourself. When Brandon goes down, everyone tied to him goes too. Help me, or you go down with him." Silence on the line. Finally, she sighed. "Meet me behind Syntrex parking lot, service entrance, midnight, and Ethan. Come alone." The line went dead. Alone. Yeah, right. I wiped the sweat from my forehead and tucked the phone away. Something didn't feel right. Rachel was smart, but she was also scared, and desperate people make terrible allies. Still, I had no choice. Either I went, or I lost everything. Midnight crept up faster than I expected. I made my way to the parking lot, heart pounding in my chest. The back of Syntrex HQ looked deserted. A single dim light buzzed above the service door. Rachel stepped out of the shadows, hands trembling slightly as she tossed me a key card. "Third floor, server room. You have 15 minutes, she whispered. "After that, I'm done." I nodded, taking the card. "Thanks, Rach. You won't regret this." She gave a bitter smile. "I already do." As I swiped the key card and slipped inside, a sinking feeling pulled at my gut. This was too easy. Way too easy. Halfway down the third floor hallway, my worst fear was confirmed. The overhead lights snapped on. Security alarms started blaring, and from the shadows, Brandon stepped out, clapping slowly. "Well, well, well," he said with a smug grin. "Did you really think we wouldn't be expecting you?" Behind him, Rachel appeared, her eyes cold and empty. She had sold me out. She never planned to help me. It was a trap. If you didn't subscribe yet, do it now, because the next twist will leave you speechless. Brandon stepped closer. "You're done, Collins," he sneered. "You're finished." I just smiled, because what he didn't know was that the real attack had already started, and there was no way he could stop it now. Brandon thought he had won. His smug little smile said it all. Security guards rushed in from both sides, blocking every exit. Rachel stood behind him, arms crossed, her face stiff like she couldn't even meet my eyes. "You seriously thought you could take me down?" Brandon sneered, stepping closer. "You're nothing without Syntrex. You're nothing without me." I kept my face blank. Let him gloat. Let him believe. Because what Brandon didn't realize was that I never needed to reach the server room. The real job was already done. 20 minutes ago. Before leaving my apartment, I had triggered the silent kill switch remotely. The moment Rachel handed me the keycard outside, I had already uploaded the virus into their system through a dummy terminal linked to their external security feed. Every database, every contract, every financial record was collapsing from the inside right now. And Brandon? He was too busy patting himself on the back to notice. If you're feeling that rush of excitement, like, share, and subscribe, because Ethan's masterstroke is just beginning. Brandon stepped even closer until we were almost nose to nose. "You're done," he whispered. "I'm gonna make sure you never work in this city again. Hell, you're lucky if you don't end up in jail." I smiled. "You might want to check your phone, Brandon." He blinked, confused. His phone buzzed in his pocket. Another buzz, then another. He pulled it out and stared at the notifications flooding his screen. Investor emails, board members demanding explanations, bank alerts warning about massive account freezes, employee group chats exploding with chaos. His face turned from smug to pale in a matter of seconds. "What the hell?" he muttered.